Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our April edition of Tips and Tricks, highlights of version 22.1. This is Fred Foster, and I'm joined by our Tips and Tricks crew of Dawn Charnan, Karen Cefantes, and Marjorie Faust. We also have several guest speakers today. Jeffrey Barcy from our Technical Services Department, Unique Nikki Anderson from our Customer Success Team, and Mike Lynn, who is Director of Strategic Accounts. This morning, we will be going over highlights of version 22.1, which was released on Monday. These include the new user interface, enhanced import tools, reporting hours by department, new incident management widgets, new features in App Builder, new features in industrial hygiene, enhancements in learning management, as well as a new learning management provider. So to start us off, here is Karen.
Thank you, Fred. Today, I'm very excited to share with you our redesigned new user interface. With this facelift, we're aiming for complete satisfaction through a clean and more focused experience. You observe a clean screen, a clean background, less color usage for our screen, one family of icons. Colors are per functionality and groups, standard placement of buttons. Let's go into our life site so that together we can navigate through these upgrades. Let's start with our home page, or landing page like we also like to call it. Here you can see an updated background. We have updated our widget borders. You can also observe an update to our menu style. Our icons have been updated and our top header icons have also been upgraded, as you can see here. Now let's look at our widgets in more detail. Earlier I mentioned that our widget border had changed, but we have also added a color code base on our status in yellow right here so that you're able to identify exactly what page you're in. For example, it's easy to identify our caret that before was maybe even overlooked. Now you can easily see that this is a drop-down menu and you can change the different system views that you would like to be in. We have also updated our edit layout button for more easy identify and a little bit more of a facelift. Also, when you go into your incident management dashboard, I would like to point out that our widget and our action item by status has also been updated, where you can see how we stay true to our new color and per functionality and group and standard placements of our buttons. You can see them right here. You can see our overdues now in display in red, open are in blue, our complete are in orange, and closed are in green. Now, let's get deeper into our facelift and let's see our upgrade from our list screens. I am going to be navigating for this demonstration into our incident management list screen. Here, you're going to be able to see an updated header. You're going to see how the color scheme is now following through. Also, our menu options for where we're able to switch our different views also has been updated with the yellow, and also you are able to easily identify our caret to change your different views. As you can see, our edit and export buttons are still here. There will be a change in our search. And now when you search, our filter row has been updated for easy visibility. As you can see here. Also, our row style has now been changed. And as you can see, this is more of a graph style. And as you're in this screen, when you're hovering over a selected item, as you can see, it will be highlighted so that you know exactly for easy visibility of being able to track down the information of your selective columns and information. In our list view also, this upgrade follows throughout all the different modules. As I mentioned earlier in the past, a lot of the times once you understand the different list views, they work throughout all of our modules. But there's been a specific upgrade to our audit management modules. So let's go ahead and together navigate there. As you can see, the different headers also look very similar as finding continuity across the modules and process map. But our actions do have an update where now you can see that it's an easily identifying in yellow, and they do have a caret for a drop down menu. And in this drop down menu, as you select it, it will go ahead and redirect you to that specific page. I really hope that you're as excited as I am of all these different updates. So it just keeps on getting better. So now let's look into our calendar updates. Let's together navigate there. As you can see, the calendar flags are no longer here. But that's because they've been replaced with the status boxes. And they have been updated to display our status, and now they also include the dates. This is also going to help us easily identify the current status of our task, also know exactly how many days you have to complete it or if it's overdue. Because of this upgrade, we have eliminated the need of an additional column where it will be displaying a status. As you can see, also in our header, our buttons right here have also follow our color scheme for easily identifying a new and a delete button, delete and showing you in red, so that you know that if you do have those permissions, you need to make sure that what you do want to delete that exactly. Now let's create a new action together so that we can see the updates in that screen. And as you can see now, our section borders are not easily identified. We have created the border to be a little bit darker so that you can know exactly where you are in the screen. And now let's say we were to move away and we have not completed. As you can see, this is now a little bit of a darker red, and you're able to easily identify the fields that you have not completed. This is actually a very requested update and upgrade and facelift, and I'm very excited to see it here. And now continuing with our walkthrough of our facelift of our new UI, I want to point out that all of our summary screens have also received a facelift. So for example, let's go into our incident management. And when we select an incident, for example, you're going to see how the color scheme has also changed, and we have updated here our columns so that you're able to identify exactly where you need to complete. The colors are more easily visible, and you're able to completely follow through in the screen in your summary. I would also like to point out that there has been another update as well for example, when you're in your list screen. Let's go back to manage our incident reports. And let's say I wanted to delete something. And if I do have the permissions to be able to do so, I will see the delete button. But let's say if I hit delete, rather than just deleting, it's now asking me to confirm that I actually do want to go forward with that delete. This is actually great How many of us have not deleted something by mistake and now we have a warning to allow us to rethink our decision and realize that we might be making a mistake? And with that, I have covered the majority of the upcoming redesign to our UI. And now I'm going to be going and handing this over to Jeffrey, who will be covering our 22.1 upgrades to our import tools.
Thanks, Karen. Now we're going to be going over the import tool. So we're going to navigate to Setup, System Setup, Data Management, and go to Manage Data Imports. And if we click on this Excel icon, it'll download the template. Which we can now see here. And now you can enter in a new location and update it within the structure. Also note that there is not a need to fill out the organizational structure and the location in the same import. You can just fill out the location name within the structure and upload as needed. Moving along to the next feature, we are going to navigate to Setup, Enterprise Setup, and Location Setup. All right, click on New. And if we scroll down to Regulatory and Agency Information section, we can see there's a new field here called Report Hours and Headcount By. Here you can decide whether you want to report hours and headcount by location or by department. And that's it for Foundation. Now I'm going to pass it over to Marjorie, who's going to be covering the incident management highlights.
Thank you, team. That was an excellent presentation on our import tools. Now, let's take a look at a much anticipated feature that we are releasing in incident management for our safety teams. 2 new widgets, an incident count by department and a case classification by department widget. Let's take a look. Our incident count by department rollup widget allows you to visualize the number of incidents reported in each department. So in our agriculture department, we can see that we had 2 near misses and 4 injury illness. In our assembly department, we had 5 injury illnesses. Similarly, in the case classification by department rollup widget, it allows you to visualize the number of cases reported in each department. So in assembly, we find that we had 1 lost time, 2 restricted duties, 1 which was other recordable, and 1 first aid. Both widgets follow the department hierarchy already set up in your organizational structure and can roll up the accounts based on this same structure. To find out how your departments are set up, simply navigate to Setup, Location Setup, Location Profile, Organization Components, and you will see the list of departments on the left side of the screen as well as their corresponding sublevels. To find these widgets, just go to your home page in your Process Map instance, click on Edit Layout, click on Add Widget. You can search for the keyword department or simply scroll down to the Incident Management section and click on Add Widget. After you make your selection, don't forget to save. Both widgets allow you to filter. You can click on the 3 little dots and click on Change Filters. You can filter by time period, let's say the last 60 days, calendar year, the last 12 months. You can also filter by incident type. So let's say we only want to see near misses, and up to 4 hierarchy levels. The case classification by department widget also allows you to filter by time, by case classification. So let's say, for example, I want to filter by first aid, medical aid, again also by 4 hierarchy levels, and just click on Save. The screen will render with your selection. We hope you find these new widgets useful, and if you have any questions on how they work or want to know more about them, just contact your customer success manager. Now Fred is going to give us the key highlights of the new features from App Builder. Fred?
Thank you, and good morning again. This is Fred Foster, and I'm going to be going over a number of new features that we have coming with App Builder. We're going to start off with some new features involving QR codes. In this release, we've added great functionality with QR codes. We'll be able to generate a QR code for every record. We can print a QR code from the detail screen. We can embed a QR code in the PDF report as well as notifications. And we can create a QR code to start up a new record. And on mobile, we can scan these QR codes to start a new form or to open up a record for an existing form. So let's look at this in action. To generate a QR code for a new record, simply click on the ellipsis and click on QR code for new record. This will display the QR code on the screen. You can also download this QR code. I'm now going to scan that QR code to create a new record. And here we have the new record. It's very easy to add barcodes to your form report or to a notification. We're going to go into our form. And I'm going to go to App Settings. And I'll start with the notification. So here I have the notification for the QR code. And if I click Next, here is the body of my notification. And you'll notice right here I've got a QR code. To add a QR code, it's under the data fields, QR code, and it'll put it into your notification. You can do the same thing in Report Builder. If I go into the body of my report, I have a QR code right there. And just like notifications, it's a data field. So I click QR code and it'll be in the body of my report export. I'm now going to scan the QR code in the notification. Here's the notification. I'm scanning the QR code and we're right back into that record. In mobile, it's very easy to export a copy of your report into PDF. Hit Export to PDF and it will pop up on the screen. If you included a barcode in your report, it will also show there and you can scan it to get back into that form. We've added functionality to freeze the section headers when you're scrolling through a form on the web. This will keep the section in view and you know what section you're in because you will always see the header. Let's go into a form and see how that scrolling works. I'll just pick a form from my list and now notice the headers as I scroll through. They stay on the screen for the section that you're in. That way you'll always know what section you're in. We can now define what fields we want copied or not copied when we use the clone or copy feature in a form. Currently, if you click on copy, the entire form gets copied. We cannot set any rules to it. But in the enhanced version, we have configurations to copy everything except or copy only selected. For existing forms, right now, if you click the copy function, everything will be copied, so there's no effect on the existing forms. But moving forward, you can specify these fields. And let's look how this is set up. In my form, I have a section that I put in for copy feature. It has name, email, division, and role. Such as a regular section of the form. Now if we go down to the bottom where we have some of our commands, I'm going to click on copy. And you'll notice over on the right, we can make adjustments to the copy function. We can change the label, so if I don't want it to say copy, I could have it say clone or make copy, whatever you want it. We can check the visibility of this by yes or no. And we also have the new copy rules. So if I click in here, my actions, I can copy only selected fields or copy everything except. In this example, I'm copying only selected, and here is the section. Right here, section for copy feature, section for copy feature, that's what's going to be copied over. So you add the section, click the plus sign, and save your form. I showed you how we can set up the copy function to use selected fields in the form. Now we're going to put it into action. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the form where I had the name, email, division, and I'm entering my name here. Now I'm going to put in my email address. Now I'm going to enter the division, which is sunrise. Now the role, which is CSM. Once that's entered, I'm going to save the form. Now, when I click on copy, and it's going to create a new form with those fields copied over. In 22.1, we've made enhancements to the add behavior of a repeater section. Currently, when add is clicked, the user also has to expand the repeater section if it happens to be collapsed. In the new enhancement, when add is clicked, the repeater section will expand automatically and allow you to enter the data. If there are already instances added in the repeater section, they will be collapsed and only the section where the user is adding the data will show. We've added a collapse all and an expand all to the repeater section so you can see the data in the form much more easily, as well as a sort option. You can see that I've added a repeater section to my form. It's asking about an area being inspected, time of inspection, and a couple of questions about that area. Now if we go back into our form, and I'll just start a new form, scroll down to the repeater section, I'm going to do an add. The area being inspected, we'll say this is the front. Is the area clean? Yes. Are supplies stocked? No, they're not. And is the temperature under 80 degrees? Yes, it is. So I've added all the data from my repeater section. I want to add another inspection for the back. So I'm going to click on add. It's going to ask the area being inspected. Notice it's expanded and number 1 is already collapsed. So this is the back. The area is clean. Supplies are stocked and it's not under 80 degrees. We'll add another section in. We'll call this the side. Area is clean, supplies are stocked, and it is under 80 degrees. Now I've got my sections in there. I can save this. If I want to go back in and look at the behavior of the repeater section, right here I've got all of my data. I can collapse all of these. I can expand all of them. And I can also sort. So now you notice the sort order changed. And I can also sort while they are collapsed. We've made improvements to the related data control to allow us to show attachments. Currently, we cannot bring attachments from one form into another, but in the enhanced version, we'll be able to. To show you the related data control, I've created a secondary app called April Tips and Tricks Related Data. And if we were to look at this app, in particular form that I filled out, it's a very simple app. It has a system-generated ID, the name of the logged-in user, and 2 fields for attachment uploads. Now if we go back into our main form, we'll look at how the related data control is set up. So here's the section for the related data control, and here's the control itself. If we look at the setup of this, first thing, it's asking the form to link. The related data control allows you to link one form to another. So we are linking the April Tips and Tricks related data form. It's going to ask for display columns, and here you see the fields that are in our other form. So the display column I'm going to use is the logged in user, as well as upload 1 and upload 2. We can do several things with the control. We can use it for searching, adding, or both. In this case, I'm going to do it for both. For the search column, I'm going to use the logged in user. We can also change the labels of the search box right here, or the add button. So once I've got my related data control set, I'll save this. And now we'll go into our form. We're going to go down to that control. And what I'm doing now is I'm doing a search into the other form. So I know the logged in user's name is Fred. So here we go. Here's an entry that matches my search, Fred. So I can click these 2 attachments. Once I hit save, will now be part of this form. If I go back into the form and scroll down, you'll see the attachments right here. So it's a great way of pulling data from one form into another. Some additional features in 22.1 include being able to take an IH air monitoring sample from a mobile device. You'll be able to enter basic details, and then that information will sync up to the module on the web. Here you can see entering the information on mobile, and here you can see it on the web. We've also added the ability to send attachments in the notification when a user clicks on Email Me a Copy. You want to ensure that the attachment control is part of the report template from the Report Builder screen. You would navigate to the Summary Builder, toggle on the attachments for Email Me a Copy, and then when the user opens the record summary, they can click on Email Me a Copy. Here you can see the setup for it. You want to click on the attachment toggle under Email Me a Copy in the Summary Builder. and then the attachment will be included when the user clicks on email me a copy. And finally, we've added the ability to add empty and not empty conditions on a system generated ID field. This allows a user to have more flexibility to configure actions that are save dependent, because the system generated ID is not created until save is done. So if we look at the setup for this, it's very simple. You can set a condition where the ID field would not be empty, and by doing that, you can disable or enable other fields in your form. So those were some of the new features that are coming with App Builder 22.1. With that, I'd like to hand this over to Karen, who will be going over new features in document management. Karen?
Thank you, Fred. Okay, so now let's dive into our 22.1 upgrades for our document management module. So the first upgrade we're going to go ahead and look closely into is the ability to rename the title of the document. Please keep in mind that this is not a configurable upgrade and it will automatically be turned on for everyone who has document management. With this upgrade, we will now be able to upload multiple documents and have the ability to rename the title. This will allow the users to rename documents at any point in time. It will help the owner or the coordinator to change the document title as per any corrective requirements. Or if they have any requirements in the future, they can always go back and just edit that title. We have removed the restriction from the title field, and users now can go ahead and just edit as I'm displaying right here. Okay, so now let's take a look at additional new and improved features for the document management that we'll be reviewing together in our live system. We have released a feature that will allow you to now auto-populate only the file name without the extension in the document field. Now, as a local admin, you have the ability to set up your own location folder structure. And now, as a user, within add folder permissions, you're now able to move the folder and its associated documents to a different folder. Now, let's go into our live system so that we can together review these. Okay, so the very first feature that I'm planning to review with you together is the auto-populate without the field names in the extension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and navigate to our document management module, document management, manage my documents, and I'm going to navigate into our corporate folder. I'm going to select environmental health and safety. And I just want to point out, for example, this document that says document management doc. When this document was uploaded, it went ahead and automatically added that .doc. However, if today I will go ahead and upload a document, and I will go ahead and edit its features, you will notice that the title does not have the extension. That extension is no longer there. Okay, so now to cover my next feature, let's say I am not the corporate administrator, I am only the location administrator. While in the past, if I wanted to create additional folders or anything, I will have to create a ticket or talk to my corporate administrator and ask her to go ahead and please create folders for me. Now we have allowed the ability for local admins to go ahead and create their own folders in their own structure. So let's navigate there together. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to Setup, Location Setup, Module Setup, and I'm going to go ahead and select Document Folders right here under Document Management. Now when I get here in my document folders, you're gonna see that I now have the feature to create new documents. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a name of location admin folder. I'm gonna give it an active status. I'm gonna go ahead and select that this is gonna be a public folder. I'm gonna go ahead and select save. And then we're gonna go into assign. And you can go ahead and assign it to your locations that you currently have access to. I'm gonna go ahead and close. And you're gonna see that it appears right here under my document folder list. Now, how I'm gonna see this is I'm gonna go back again, navigate to my document, management module, document management, manage documents, and now under location, you're gonna see that there's two folders, my location admin folder. And now I'm gonna be able to upload new documents into that particular folder. Remember that you can always navigate back home by just clicking this little home button. This feature is permission based, so remember that if something is not working for you, always talk to your system admin or your customer success manager for direction on how to use this new feature. And now to cover the last and final feature that this 22.1 release has is, let's say you have you're a user with add folder permissions, and now all of a sudden your manager has asked you to please go ahead and move folders from a previous structure that you had it, and now you need to move them somewhere else. While before you had to go ahead and create a whole new hierarchy and go ahead and move those folders, now with a simple click of a button, you're going to be able to move those folders. And I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how to do that right now. And we're going to go ahead and navigate to our setup, module setup. We're going to go ahead and select document management, and we're going to go into our document folders. And let's say I want to move all my documents that I currently have in the risk management. So I'll go ahead and hit select. And now we see this new feature, a news button here called move folder. And that's going to go ahead and enable this feature right here where it says select folder to be moved and select destination. As you go ahead and expand those trees, you're going to see that you can go ahead and even narrow down to a specific, for example, air quality. Let's say I want to move all documents that I have classified under air quality, and now I want to move them into environmental health and safety under the corporate policy. And all I will have to do is go ahead and select air quality, select corporate policy, and go ahead and hit save. And that covers all the features for our 22.1 release for document management. I hope for all you document management users, you are as excited as I am about these new upgrades and new features that we now have done to the module. But now I'm gonna go ahead and give it up to Nikki, who will be covering our release in IH and LMS. Nikki?
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Karen. My name is Nikki, and Nikki Anderson. I'm one of your trusted customer success managers here at ProcessMap. And today I'm going to be highlighting the new features from the industrial hygiene module and the learning management module. So in the industrial hygiene module, not too many new features because, as you know, in our previous release, we did many updates to the IH module. So I just wanted to highlight just a few. So we have the IH query report, we have a sample form and app builder, and we have containment action items added. So for the IH query report, our customers wanted to be able to get the ppm and milligrams/M3 unit into the report. And so in the current system, it does not have the ability to generate the IH report with all the stressors in ppm and milligram units and M3. So now you're going to be able to generate the IH query report for all of the stressors in ppm, milligrams, M3 unit. Okay, that's regardless of the units in the sample results. Okay, the changes will be reflected in the following report. So the IH query report, and then the air monitoring, bulk samples, and the direct monitoring reports as well. Next, we have a really big one. So you'll be able to create samples in App Builder for air monitoring. So right now, there's no option to create noise, air monitoring, and passive monitoring samples through App Builder form. But now you'll be able to collect those, create those samples in App Builder over mobile. So that's the main piece. So you'll be able to collect those samples via mobile, and then the data will be pushed from App Builder to the IH module. So the form will be accessible through mobile. Okay, and this is just an example here of what it looks like in the application from the web. So this is the App Builder form here, and this is some of what you'll need to fill out on the form. So we have the sample details, the location, employee information, sample calibration, and sample activity details. And again, you'll be able to capture these samples on mobile and then push it to the IH module. Keep in mind that the sample form in App Builder needs to be enabled, so you'll have to contact your CSM to get that simple process started. Okay, next, you have the ability to now add containment action items as a action type in the CAPA action item types. So in the current system, there's just two options available, corrective action and preventative action. And so now you'll have containment action to capture immediate actions into the IH module. So we've done this for a few of the modules, so it is available for industrial hygiene as well. Okay. Next, we have a few features in the learning management module. So changes in the session creation notification, a new category, and then some new list views as well. Okay. So there are quite a few changes to notifications that we've made in this release, but I went ahead and highlighted one of the important ones. So our customers did tell us that the training due date was missing from the notification. So once users got an email notification, there was no training start date and no training end date. So our customers, you all let us know that this was important information for the trainee. So when trainees got the notification, they didn't know when the start date was or when the training date ended. So now the training date is included and it'll be displayed. The training due date will be displayed in the session creation notification. You'll have the start date and the end date and the due date. So at the bottom here, what you're seeing is the reoccurring sessions. So this is how the reoccurring sessions will appear. Okay. Next, we have a new category, training by role. Okay, so in the LMS system, in the LMS module now, you're able to assign training by employee, job functions, and now we're going to add role as well. So by going to modules and then learning management, and we're going to manage the session list. Okay, so when you're assigning a new session, we scroll down to the assigned category, and in the drop-down, you now have role available. Okay, once you populate roles, okay, select the pick list, and here is LMS user, which is a role in the system. Okay, and it automatically populated this employee. So selecting the LMS role would further populate the employees who are linked to the user role. So Sue Burrows in this instance is linked to the role LMS user, and she's also linked and scoped to the location Florida 305. Okay. So just some extra options there available to be able to assign categories. Next, we have a new default view, active sessions, current and previous 2 years. So now users, right now in the system, users have to go through multiple steps to see or create different views. In the enhanced system now, you'll be able to have multiple view sessions in the managed list, okay? And then you'll also have a current default, which will be named active sessions, active sessions, current and previous 2 years. Okay, so many options there available under active sessions. So what this does is help with sometimes when you come in, you may be looking for a session and it was defaulted to maybe 60 days, and then you're unable to find those employees or those sessions. So now you have multiple system views here available to you, and then it'll also be defaulted to current and previous 2 years. So when you're searching, you won't have that issue of missing session. Okay. So there are a few additional enhancements to both of these modules. So please, if you get some time, go in and review those changes from our release page on the help site, or you can also contact your CSM to schedule a quick call to go over the additional enhancements to IH and LMS. Okay. Next, we have special guest Mike Glenn. Mike.
Thank you, Nikki. Great information. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Glynn from Process Map. And this portion will cover pretty much everything e-learning, learning management, training management, etc. We have about 10 minutes or so to cover some updates on what we're doing in Process Map, both on the technology side as well as the content side, and as far as enhancements are concerned. And also maybe some guidance and some assistance in considering how you might roll out learning programs, expanding content, etc. So we'll cover those pieces today. And also share an example of one of our vendors' courses for a little bit, just so you get a flavor of it. If there's anything else that would be of interest, certainly after the program, please reach out to us, provide more information, including links to their demo sites to read content or anything else for that matter. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so introduction. My formal title, I guess, is Director of Strategic Accounts and Relationships. And when we think about relationships, I work with all of our third parties as far as, well, it might be content, e-learning content. It could also be content around audits or solutions and services that fit nicely into our overall solutions, whether it be chemical management, among other things. So it's one of my responsibilities here. Before coming to Process Map, I spent about roughly 2 decades in the industry, specifically about a decade or so in the areas of e-learning for HSEQ and certainly for other areas like technical training, operator training, etc. and also in consulting services. So you'll see I worked initially coastal training, then DuPont safety, and then eventually in DuPont sustainable solutions in the consulting world. So we'll start by some stats. Pretty interesting, and I know these are a few years old, but I think the most important piece, as many of you all probably already today, whether it's some required HR training, annual refresher training, and also possibly some of the required safety training that you all may do. The growth and the use of e-learning since 2000. We talk about e-learning in the sense of it being web-based, online, etc., versus it being what used to be known as CD-ROM based or computer-based training. It has grown exponentially, and as it shows here, 77% of U.S. companies, use e-learning for various programs, various topics. And as you can see, there is a return on investment. Ultimately, there's a reduction in training time, obviously, which would relate to, in many cases, a significant decrease in cost. But also as it comes to, or as it relates to retention rates and productivity. We're looking at also this bullet point from IBM. For every dollar spent, the company claims that it saw $30 in increased productivity. And as I mentioned, 20 plus years old as far as the industry is concerned. You could probably go back to the 1960s or 1970s to really get the very first web-based, intranet-based e-learning solution. So as we kind of covered a little bit on all of the enhancements going on so far, specific to LMS, we're really making some strides on offering more capabilities for our clients to provide kind of a self-service option and increase the functionality or increase the capability of delivering courses, whether it's courses from vendors that we partner with or vendors that you already have in place that we can ultimately deploy from the learning management system. And but some of the other unique things I think would be the ability for you all eventually to create tests or tests and assessments and quizzes within the learning management system, and have them kind of correspond with maybe something aligned with a simple document or an SOP, or even a link to a video. So lots of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional e-learning course, interactive course from a vendor. It can be something simpler, if you will, that you build internally. Also, think in terms of progression through training. When it comes to looking at the requirements for training, oftentimes there is a sequential requirement. So you must take course A before you can take course B. If you fail course A, you have to take course A again, etc. So the ability now to set a sequential requirement for end users accessing a course or a combination of courses, and there really are dozens of additional kind of self-service and configurable features in the pending upgrade. So as we look at expanding the offerings, again, streamlining the process and new feature enhancements. And again, as I think of that last screen, there are some things that we're working on currently that will be coming out in the next few months around some of those enhancements. But certainly what's already been discussed and covered. In addition to that, we're also growing our content offering. So we're partnering with 2 additional content partners, Safety Skills and iHasco. So we've partnered with HSI for some time, and certainly we're going to continue with all the relationships that we have and expand on it. What we'd like to do is provide as many options as possible for our clients so they can choose based on their preferences. I mentioned before expanding offerings in the areas of technical skills, such as operator and preventative or predictive maintenance. You think of anything from basic electrical or basic mechanical training, courses on pneumatics or hydraulics, courses on CNC lathes, a lot of different programs available. And part of what I'm doing currently is looking to partner with and expand our ability to deliver kind of as a one point solution, one vendor basically to get all of that done. The other part is growing the global content offering. So with HSI, certainly there's a great library, many hundreds of courses, primarily English and Spanish, and some French Canadian. Safety skills, we're expanding on that capability into give or take about 7 additional languages, 7 or 8 additional languages. And then iHasco, which is a British-based company, perfect for our clients in EMEA or have a lot of operations in EMEA. There's 30 plus courses available through iHasco. So this is the screenshot of one of the safety skills courses. Again, multiple languages. You'll see the languages there. But it's nice, I think, that with this offering is the end user can select their language. Well, it's not as significant as the iHasco library. This could be a potential fit for some customers. And this is a storyboard example from the bloodborne pathogens course. What's interesting and neat with safety skills is they'll use broadcast quality video in conjunction with interactive exercises that include 3D animation and really kind of engaging graphics. So I mentioned iHasco again, British-based company, been delivering e-learning courses for well over 15 years and grown quite nicely. Their offering specific to safety, health, and environmental is pretty impressive. And again, if you think of clients that have operations in unique areas, whether it's Central or Eastern Europe, it could be areas that maybe some other content vendors don't have content in. There's a good chance that they would have the content available in those languages. Also, when we think of I would say basically 150 to 200 courses that we have for safety, health, and environmental, all of the translations have been completed, and it's a little bit different look and feel, which again, I'd be happy to share all this after, if there is interest, you can reach out to us. This is an example of the electrical safety course. This is just the course outline showing, again, give or take about a 20, 25-minute course. And we've set it up sequentially so that folks cannot just go straight to the test assessment. This is an example of the storyboard, the course screenshot from the electrical safety course. As with safety skills, iHasco uses good broadcast quality video along with interactive graphics excuse me, and exercises to make it more engaging. And certainly when you think of e-learning courses, or at least I would say good e-learning courses, there is that level of interactivity. There's also requirements through remediation. So when I say remediation, we're talking about an individual that may not be getting the quiz questions correct. They'll be sent back to the correct information. We'll be required to review it, and then so the idea is to establish a complete understanding, make sure they're aware, make sure that they pass at a high level. So where and when? This has come up often and certainly does not replace e-learning courses on whether it's electrical safety or say forklift training or those sorts of, obviously it does not replace the hands-on requirements. But it can, and it's been proven to really help streamline the process, provides as I mentioned, a pre-assessment, if you will. Basically, having a 20-minute course, taking that 20-minute course before the actual driving portion, let's say for the on portion. So just one example. There are circumstances where it's annual, and you can certainly, for certain courses, take a learning course as a refresher. And if there are situations where the need for just-in-time training, say an incident, etc., certainly the course would be available to go back. So the kind of why part, when you think of learning, again, many of you have probably taken e-learning courses and you know this. You're capturing the individual's performance, I would say, better in some circumstances, because that individual has to take quizzes or assessments and go through some interactive. If they get it wrong, they're going to be back correct information, and they're going to be required to basically pass the course. So, oftentimes, I shouldn't say oftentimes, but sometimes, with some training that's conducted in person, the variation on, let's say, quality, and certainly on the outcome, which we're focusing on, will vary. And it's going to vary depending on the instructor, depending on the content, those sorts of things. So, I say that specific to e-learning and specific to an individual's performance, you're gathering that person's understanding. Last thing would be the automating of the process for certification, whether it's refresher or new training opportunity. So if you're releasing a new program, whether it's an off-the-shelf course or it's let's say, for instance, there's new equipment being installed, process in place, and you want to provide training on it, it's a great opportunity to send out notifications, kind of a broadcast, hey, we're doing this, and this is why you need to take this course. So the other why, and at the end of the day, training and certainly training outcomes are a key component to overall performance. If someone is not trained properly, if we don't have records of training, which happens sometimes, right, in the real world, that's obviously challenging when we're looking at all of the key performance indicators around performance and safety. Again, we're looking at e-learning courses, whether it's off the shelf, professionally done, or even looking at being able to deliver, again, your own custom courses, whether it's a simple SOP with confirmation of understanding from an individual, or creating something much more interactive. And so that could be done through an authoring tool of sorts, as long as it's SCORM or AICC compliant, you can do it from the learning management system. But again, driving home the point that we need to capture an individual performance metrics to really understand where we're going, where we can. And the value in leveraging validated or unified solution. I know there are many solutions that you all probably have. As process customers, may have a few modules or a few solutions. You may have many. There's the cost savings, there's the time and cost savings, but there's also the ability to tie all of the performance metrics on the back end. So we're being able to report, have a repository, if you will, for all of those key those KPIs, so that you're not chasing down information that as it would relate to performance overall. So in closing, successful deployments, based on my experience, if you look at really well done programs that were successful, training requirements and the content mapping were done well in advance. The expectations set internally, both with the vendor, I think, and the client, were realistic. I would say staggered to some extent. So we're not trying to go after everything and deliver 100 learning courses. That's almost I don't want to say impossible, but certainly not a strategic goal. So looking at timelines, looking at the expectations on specific courses, where you have success, where it would make most sense to deliver e-learning courses in conjunction with instructor-led training. Again, that's where the success happens. Ultimately, it will start with buy-in, and success will be dependent upon buy-in, and that's from leadership, that's from supervisors and line management. Ultimately, employees, making sure they understand why. And many employees, again, like we all, have taken and take on a regular basis e-learning courses or training. Kind of want to know why I'm doing this, but I think most of us understand the value in being able to take programs on our own, and oftentimes it's a quicker and a more efficient process overall. So that is it for my part. If there is interest in content or looking at the enhancements on the learning management side or other services that we can offer, please reach out to myself and also with our team overall. And thank you so much. I appreciate it. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Mike. Great information. And thank you for being one of our featured guests this month. I also want to thank Jeffrey from our technical service department and our very own Nikki from our customer success department for such great presentations and information shared today. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. And if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and start entering them in the chat as we will continue to answer questions for the next few more minutes. Please remember that we host our tips and tricks on the last Wednesday of every month, and you have to register beforehand or even the day of, but you do have to register. Our next tips and tricks will be on May 25th, so stay tuned for great information that we're going to be sharing then. And with that, we conclude this month's tips and tricks. Until next month. Thank you.